Very useful counters. My 3rd edition. This time I made a video about a very strong defensive core where you can build your deck around. I have lots of counters for you, also against the evos that are currently very strong, plus placement and timing tips, and some deck suggestions at the end. Let's start right away with the first card. The Ramrider, a very powerful win condition that's also strong in defense because of her damaging and stunning slingshots that can be used in a lot of counters, like against this Goblin Drill. Release the Ramrider behind the tower and soon the Goblin Drill enters our area. In this way she has some time to activate the sprint and do more damage to the drill. Of course the Goblin Drill is less in elixir, but we almost didn't take any damage. The graveyard has the same amount of elixir as us, but this time we can fully counter it without taking any damage. So we are able to set up a counter attack with a full health Ramrider. Let's get into the luring counters. When this 7 elixir beast is coming, you should position her in this blue mark left of the middle line. With this position and the cannoneer, you can fully counter the Mega Knight and the evolved version as well. This position can also be used with the Tower Princess and the Dagger Duchess, but it isn't enough to fully counter the Mega Knight, so for these situations I would suggest to use another backup card. A low elixir card like the Electro Spirit should be sufficient. Just deploy it in the middle before the Mega Knight wants to jump our tower, and with help from the tower on the right, the Mega Knight will be eliminated. With this middle placement, the Prince is harmless too, but the timing is very important. Try to release her before the Prince gets out of this green box, otherwise the tower is closest and he won't follow us. This time the Dagger Duchess and Tower Princess are also able to fully counter him, and what I like about this counter with this placement is that the Prince will jump the river too, but is too far away to proceed with the pursuit. So a full counter and an attacking Ramrider. That's what makes this card so unique. Against the elite barbarians, this method will only work with the cannoneer. Just like the counter with the Mega Knight, you'll need an additional card if you use the Tower Princess or Dagger Duchess. A middle placement luring counter is the best way to deal with fast moving heavy units. The next video is an example of the so-called river jump counter, because this time we place the Ramrider tight to the river and we release her as soon the enemy is in shooting range of our tower. She will jump the river and briefly kite the opponent, maximizing the shooting time of our tower. This will also work against the Sparky, and although we suffer a great deal of damage, we can counter it completely and save 1 elixir. This placement is also effective against the cannon card, the mini P.E.K.K.A. and the executioner. And it will work too against flying units like the Baby Dragon, Phoenix, Flying Machine and more. If the evolved wizard is coming, you have to make sure to release the Ramrider out of the shield's explosion range. If you leave 4 to 5 tiles in between them, she will stay out of range even after jumping the river. The counter will work if you position her closer, but it's just unnecessary damage. The tight river placement against the evolved Valkyrie will, again, only work with the cannoneer. There is a way to fully counter the evolved Valkyrie with the Tower Princess or Dagger Duchess. You'll just need a different starting position. Like this. You have to run into the Valkyrie on purpose, so the Valkyrie will spend more time dealing with the Ramrider, and this will give our tower more time to eliminate her. I know the Valkyrie is also less in elixir, but I still wanted to show these counters, because in my opinion it's worth the elixir since we have a defensive counter and a counter attack in one, just like the skeleton barrel. The Ramrider is unharmed and is able to do a full strength attack afterwards. The witch is also powerless against the Ramrider, just wait with the counter until she's in range of our tower. In combination with the cannoneer, you can also stop the evolved battle ram. It is a strange way, but you have to bump into them to pull this off. In this way the Ramrider stays longer in our zone, so she can kite the barbarians further away. That brings us to some combos, because the combination with the rage is very effective. It is enough to clear some light troops like skeletons, goblins and bats, and it will get her quicker to the tower. Let me show you a good comparison against the defense that's strong against the Ramrider. The Ramrider is unable to pierce through, but with the help of the rage we are just quick enough to do damage before the hunter is able to shoot a second shot. And this will work against other good counters for the Ramrider. Sometimes it's effective to wait for the opponent to spend elixir, so we can perform this sneaky way to do some quick damage. It's hard for the opponent to anticipate on an attack like this when it's so quick, so we should exploit it as much as possible. When you sense that you're up in elixir, it's safe to perform this. Just try to be sensible and do not overcommit. And even a good timed fisherman is too slow for this attack. The speed of the Ramrider's dash can also be used to get the monk quick to the other tower. Again, be aware of your elixir spending and only use the speedy monk when you're high in elixir or when it's close to the end and you need some extra damage. A powerful P.E.K.K.A. deployed in this blue area only needs 2 strikes to counter us, as you can see in this clip. So another cheap way to pass by the P.E.K.K.A. is with the help of the Ice Spirit. The stunning duration of the Spirit and the slingshot is just enough for 1 tower hit, and we did it with less elixir than our opponent. The stunning effect is really powerful in containing the enemy, so your supportive troops can do most of the damage. So really try to use it to its full potential, because it can help you against a lot of attacks. That's it, quickly to the next. The Monk, the only card in Clash Royale with the ability to deflect projectiles. This includes logs, fireballs, rockets, boulders, barrels, arrows and more, with the exception of Inferno or Electro damage. This, in combination with his ability to push back troops, makes him a very powerful defensive tool. So scan your opponent's cards as soon as possible so you can think of the best way to utilize him. If, for example, you encounter a siege deck with a mortar, you should save the monk especially for this. If you position and time him correctly, you can counter them with ease. But you'll need some backup for this too, like the guards or the Goblin Gang. If you encounter decks that use the Sparky as a backup, you should save the monk for it too. As soon they deploy the Sparky in the back, it's almost guaranteed that they suffer major tower damage. Use his ability when he's aligned with the tower, and if you time it correctly, you'll deflect 2 heavy shots. You can even reflect a rocket off a goblin machine, but it will only work once, so you're not targeted during invisibility. So I think it's not worth to use the ability for this. The monk is also capable of returning the favor to the X-bow, and this will even work when the X-bow's focus was already on the tower. So if you're late with a Royal Giant attack, you can deflect the RG shots too, but there's a more effective way to counter him, and that's by pushing him back as soon he enters your territory. In this way you'll keep him out of his 5-tile attacking range. And since you're not using the ability, you'll gain 1 elixir in this encounter. So with this, we're in the category building targeting attacks, like this Ramrider. If you use the ability, you'll deflect its stunning slingshots too, making it impossible for her to reach the tower. The Goblin Giant and its Evo version should be taken care of as soon as he crosses the bridge, otherwise he might connect to the tower for 1 hit. And we don't like that. But what we do like is gaining 1 elixir in this encounter. Use the exact same approach too with the giants, and you won't suffer damage from this slow moving enemy either. The giant skeleton is very dangerous because of his death bomb damage, so even if you're late, the monk can push him out of the danger zone. This pushing ability can also be put to use in this way, because pushing him to the middle will allow your other tower to use its daggers. Another building targeting troop is the Battle Ram, and placing the monk somewhere in this blue area will allow him to counter them completely. With the deflecting ability of the monk, you can counter lots of combo attacks too, like this bowler witch attack. The reversed boulders are enough to kill the witch, and without the ability the monk is still strong enough to eliminate the bowler. An attack with the magic archer is also not such a good idea, because the reversed arrows will not only harm yourself or the combo, but even your own tower. So I think it's very clear how powerful the monk can be. Every attack with a shooting backup should be countered with the monk, because those are the easiest ways to gain elixir. The monk can handle lots of situations by itself, but if you face larger attacks, the combination with the Ramrider is perfect, as you can see in this clip. The stunning ability of the Ramrider and the pushback ability of the monk will make it very hard for the opponent to reach our tower. Another very strong usage of the monk's ability is against the Evo P.E.K.K.A. Activate its ability just before the P.E.K.K.A. attacks and you will shift into invincibility phase. During this phase you can use a backup troop to do all the damage. And as you can see, the small skeletons are sufficient for this. Of course you can use the Goblin Gang too, but countering him with 9 elixir is a bit too much. The special ability of the Archer Queen can be very powerful, but if we use the ability shortly after she does, we will return the quick salvo of shots and counter her completely. The 3 musketeers obviously don't stand a chance either. The same goes for the rascals. Just use the ability for the shooters in the back, so you have time to deal with the big one after that. And did you know that the minions also fire projectiles at you? This makes the minion horde very easy to counter. The ability also works against the Mother Witch, but I think it's a waste of elixir, because you will only gain one little piggy out of it. The next two examples can be countered with a middle placement. Always try to lure the Mega Knight to a position where he is within shooting range of both our towers, so they can do most of the damage during the invincibility phase. If you encounter the evolved version, the tactics are slightly different. Position the monk here, so both towers will assist you even after the first punch. Activate the ability right away and you won't suffer any damage while the towers finish the Evo MK. With the elite barbarians, it's much harder to lure them both to a position within shooting range of both towers, but this position will also work fine. Try to time the ability after the first push, and also with the help of one tower they will stand no chance. The Mega Miner is too slow to do significant damage, because the monk is slightly quicker with the pushback. If you encounter the Goblin machine, you should deal with him as soon as he enters your area, so our tower stays out of range of his rockets. And by pushing him to the side instead of back on the bridge, we get maximum support of our tower. And the witch is also very easy to counter. I'll end this chapter with a useful tip, because using the Goblin Gang behind the monk is a great way to lure a spell for your monk to deflect. If your Goblin Gang continuously gets countered by logs, arrows or fireballs, you should try this method. If your opponent did this a couple of times before, he's probably already getting used to it and is saving a spell especially for this. So, most of the times they are very surprised when you suddenly switch up the attack like this and you counter their spell. That's it, let's go to the next. The Bowler. A tough troop that can be used as a tank and for his splash damage because of his boulder, which can be very handy against light and medium ground troops. A mostly underrated card, so I prepared a couple of counters to show you its potential. We'll start right away. If the rascals are coming, try to attack them when the two shooting ones are on the bridge. The bridge is narrow, so they have to move together, and our boulder takes them out at once. You can deal with the royal recruits out of this middle position. This will also work with the dagger duchess and the cannoneer. Just make sure the positioning is inside of both towers. The same goes for the Mega Knight. Place the bowler to the left of the middle line and both towers will help eliminating the MK. This placement is also effective against the giant skeleton, and in this case it isn't just important to lure him to the middle for both towers to help, but also because of the danger of his death bomb. I got one tip with timing of the placement against all these cards. Don't let them pass this box line and you're on time. Some cards can be countered if they cross it, but I just think it's good to have one memory aid for this. The barbarians can also be countered from this position. Just make sure they aren't supported by a firecracker, magic archer or evo bomber. If the battle ram is coming, just place the bowler in its way to stop them completely. And this will also work against the evolved version of them. Hold off the attack on the cannon card till he reaches our turf, so we can involve our tower troop as well. The same goes for the Goblin machine, because we need assistance to eliminate him, but also to keep his rockets out of tower range. This one is a reoccurring counter. When the shadow of the barrel hits the river, it's time to release the bowler behind our tower. But when the Goblin drill is coming, you should release the bowler when the drill is between these two lines. If you do this on this red corner tile, you are prepared for all the positions the drill can land. And let me just prove it by showing it. So you can imagine this is a good counter against the evolved version as well. The bowler is also strong against the building deck players. Lots of attacks are supported by shooting troops, and the bowler is a great card against those. And the last tip for our purple tank is to combine him with Tornado. Rounding them up, align them with the tower, pull them back for extra damage done. The possibilities are endless. And if you'd like to learn more about that, you can watch this video. That's it, this chapter is done. The Goblin Gang, a great addition to every deck because of its low cost and its ability to counter the majority of all cards in Clash Royale. I made a lot of examples how to counter the enemy regardless of its shape or attacking style. My first example isn't just a counter but also a King Tower activation. Placing it in the upper connecting lines between the towers on this blue mark just before the firecracker shoots its first shot will do the trick, and you have 4 goblins alive for a counterattack. The graveyard can be countered completely if you deploy it under the tower just before the first skeleton spawns. You will gain 2 elixir and still have all the goblins alive. When the shadow of the goblin barrel reaches the river, you should release the Goblin Gang at the back of the tower. This will give your goblins time to reach all enemies before they can damage the tower. This exact placement can also be used against the goblin drill if you release your troops when the drill crosses the river. In this way, it doesn't matter where the drill lands, because the top position will be counted and the left and right position too, as you will see in this next split screen. You won't gain any elixir with this counter, but I wanted to include this one because it's very helpful and easy to pull off. One of the most used win condition is the Ramrider. If you're quick enough with this placement, you can counter him completely. Nice. And the same tactics can also be applied against the battle ram. Timing is very crucial with both examples, because releasing the goblins a fragment too slow can result in unnecessary tower damage. The timing with the next examples is also very important, because some troops need to be dealt with as soon as possible, because they can lock to the tower from a distance, like this goblin machine. As soon he enters your area, you should surround him like this. The Sparky can lock from a distance too, and this counter is an easy one, but I still wanted to include this one because it's a big gain in elixir. This quick surrounding style can also be used against the next 4 examples: the Cannon Cart, the Musketeer, the Goblin Demolisher and the Bowler. I could show much more examples, because the Night Witch, the Electro Wizard, the Ice Wizard, the Lumberjack, the Magic Archer and more can be fully counted as well, but I'll try to keep it short because I have other examples with different positioning to show you too. The Little Prince is easy if he uses his ability at the bridge, and if he doesn't, you should always approach him from the side, so its ability with the knight can't surprise you. The next 4 examples are high hit point troops, so we have to use a different positioning that draws the enemy to the middle, so we have more assistance of our tower troop. The beauty of the Goblin Gang is that the goblins in the front are slightly stronger in health, so they can function as a tank for the spear goblins behind them. This too will buy us more time to do more damage. Place them left of the middle line in this blue area and you can counter the elite barbarians as well. Countering 6 elixir with a 3 elixir card is very convenient, because if you spend it right, you'll have a huge advantage to win this game. I'll increase the speed for the next 2 massive troops, because although they are very powerful, they are also very slow. Timing is key again, because if the giant skeleton approaches the tower just slightly more, the death bomb radius will impact the tower. Because of this, the P.E.K.K.A. is less risky, but always be prepared for a supporting spell. More troops that can be drawn to the middle, or the Evolved Knight, the Prince and the Mega Miner. They are easy to counter because they are single targeting troops. So cards like the Skarmy, Gods, Goblins and Goblin Gang are obviously very powerful against them. But you can even counter troops that do splash damage, like the next 2 examples. If you time it quick enough, the front goblins will form a barrier to the back ones. As a result, the Dark Prince can't kill them with 1 strike. The timing and positioning is also suitable against the Valkyrie, because as you can see, she'll need multiple swings in her attempt to clear the goblins. This center placement will also work against these single hitting flying troops, the Phoenix and the Flying Machine, and it will also work against the Inferno Dragon and the Mega Minion. I have 2 other flying examples, but these ones are with splash damage, the Baby Dragon and the Skeleton Dragons, and both examples can easily be countered too. The flying department has a strong swarm card in their inventory, the Minion Horde. You won't see them attacking very often, but if they do, you can defeat them this way. I'll close this chapter with a mortar example, because splitting the gang is very functional against the targeting system of the mortar. And if you look closely, you'll see that this goblin isn't targeted by their tower. And needless to say, this is very helpful. That was the last of this chapter. To the next. And in this last chapter, I'd like to show you some deck suggestions. Let's start with my most used one. With this deck you can control the game defensively and do some cheap attacks with the evolved wall breakers. You can also swap them for the evolved bats if you like some more air control. If you like to have more defensive control, you can add the mini P.E.K.K.A to the original deck instead of the Ice Spirit. If you like a deck that's more equipped against air decks, you can combine the Evo Whiz, the Evo Bats and the Tornado. The Poison instead of the Rage is also very solid. Or maybe you rather have a building to the deck because the Evo Mortar is very fun to play. Or the Evo Goblin Cage. You can switch it up as you please. It's all possible around this defensive core of 4. And if you have a better one, please let me know. If you made it to this end, I'm very thankful for that. I hope you found some new counters that can be useful to you. If you have some remarks or next video suggestions, please let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to hear the feedback. I hope to see you back in my future videos. Thank you for watching.